you have ever given your client a discount before they even asked for it, this video is for you. Hi, my name is Sarah Muindi. I am actually an accredited business psychologist, and in this video we're going to be looking at why very excellent founders, entrepreneurs, people who run service-based businesses undervalue or underprice their worth or struggle with just articulating their value. So you know you're very, very good at your job. You know that once a client gives you the opportunity to work with them, they're going to be so happy. You know once an enterprise agrees to a contract to work with you, they will not regret it. But every time you're having the pricing conversation, you either get stuck, you don't know what to do, you don't know what to say, or you end up underpricing, or you end up just giving a quote that you aren't quite confident about. This video is what is going to help you. Now, what we're going to be covering is, number one, why this happens. Number two, some of the patterns that you might have found yourself in as a trap. And number three, what you can actually do about it. So let's get right into it. You want to pull your notebook or your notepad. It needs to be open from this point forward. Okay, so first things first, business economists have done research on the trends around founders and entrepreneurs, and you know what they found? 80% of founders will usually either underprice their work or give early discounts because of two key reasons. One, imposter syndrome. Two, is the fear of losing the sale because of friction. Sometimes it's simply because of the inability to handle their objections or the questions that they might be having, or not knowing how to handle those questions or concerns when they come up from potential clients. So some of the common traps that you might find yourself getting into, number one is the legacy trap. So you are a founder who started your business, let's say 3 years ago, and your first service or offer costed, let's say 20 or 30 pounds. Now, you had your first early adopters. They believed in you, they believed in your vision, they believed in your ability to help them, they believed in your competence to support them, and they believed in the framework that you use, and they said yes to working with you. But you have been working with them from 3 years ago up to now, but have never increased your rates. So this is called the legacy trap. Now, the legacy rate trap is usually where you get sort of caught up in your initial rates, the rates that everyone has always known you for, because when you started out, it was probably at a lower rate because you are trying to enter into a market. And so what happens is you get caught up in being unable to increase your price. There's a fear of what if you increase your price and the customers you already had leave? Or what if you increase your price and you don't get any new customers? And so what happens? The legacy trap sets in. So that's the first pattern that often happens. And this I'm going to give you as an opportunity to just reflect on your pricing from when you started your business up to now. Are you caught up in the legacy rate trap? So that's pattern number one. Pattern number two is the confusion around effort and value. So most service-based founders, especially in Leicester, Loughborough, East Midlands, the UK, have their pricing around their rates, either an hourly rate or a day rate or a project rate. And so what happens is the pricing is dependent on how much effort goes into what you're going to be working on. How many hours will it take you to do the work? If you're a designer, for example, how many hours will it take you to design the product or the concept that your client has in their mind? If, for example, you're a coach, how many hours will you need to be able to coach this client? And you might maybe factor in things like the 1 hour consultation or the 1 hour session, and you haven't factored in things like your prep time, how much time it takes you to do research for this client, how much time it takes you to put together the resources and the materials for this client. But even more importantly, what you have not yet considered is the outcome that this client wants. So the assumption, for example, if you're a designer and you're providing, let's say, logo design services, the assumption is that the outcome the client wants is the logo. But the outcome the client wants is more than the logo. They want a brand identity that people will be able to resonate with. They will be able to quickly and easily recognize. They want a brand logo that they can be able to use on different merchandise, from their key cards to the roller banners to the website to their social media platforms. So they want a logo that resonates with their values, with the way they feel about their business and their brand, or the feeling they want to evoke for their client. So you can sometimes get caught up, and many founders have been caught up in this confusion of effort versus value. So the outcome is presumed to be a logo. The effort is presumed to be this specific number of hours. But part of what you need to start to do is to figure out, is this how you price based on how much effort you're going to be putting in? Is that how you price today? Then we'll have a little bit of a chat about what you should do about it. So that's the second pattern that often happens. So if you have a new project, your mind quickly goes to, all right, how many hours is it likely to take me to finish this? Or what's my day rate, and what can I just quickly come up with as an answer that I can give to this potential client, so that they see that I am decisive, I am clear on my value, and I am clear on what I provide. However, the confusion comes between how do you balance the effort that goes into the work, the value and the outcome that the client expects in the way that you price. So we're going to discuss just in a few minutes what you should be doing about these patterns. So the last pattern that I wanted to tell you about is the retention pricing trap. So if you run a community that has either a membership or has a subscription-based model or has a loyalty program that you run, you will find that most service-based providers will usually be quick to provide discounts, to provide bundled offers, to provide freebies, to ensure that they retain their clients. And so you end up getting caught up in a retention trap. And this retention pricing trap is because of thinking about wanting to ensure that none of the people that have joined your loyalty program, your membership, or your subscription, or the community that you run leave. And so and the fear of, if you increase your rates, they might leave, or they might not be able to meet that cost, and therefore you end up being caught in a trap where, to retain them, then you retain your rates or your prices at a low cost or at a low rate, simply because you want your loyal members, your loyal community members, your loyal clients to stay with you. Yet, interestingly, do you know, every year you're probably adding new knowledge. With every training, you're adding new expertise. You're probably investing in that new knowledge and new expertise to give better value to your community. However, when it comes to retention, there's a problem. So what should you do? The first quick tip that I want to provide you is, you remember what I started by saying in terms of data and statistics, the anchoring effect. I didn't tell you about it, and I will tell you about it now, because that's one of the things you need to do. 80% of founders either underprice or undercharge because of imposter syndrome, or because of fear of friction, where clients might, or potential clients might not say yes, or might leave because they might not be able to meet that cost. So the anchoring effect is solution number one. And this solution is where you think and reflect in your mind, what's the highest number that comes to your mind when it comes to the services that you provide, that you would feel comfortable to charge. And so that anchoring price is usually where we recommend you start from. And even when you're giving clients your range of how much you charge, I strongly recommend start with your anchoring price. That anchoring price is normally informed by your perception of yourself, of your value, and the amount that you have assigned to that perception. And so that's the first assignment for you. to go back to your reflective notebook and think about, so what's my anchoring effect? What's the figure that terrifies me out of this world if I ever charged it to my clients? And what's the highest rate that I could give as the range for the work that I provide? Then lastly, how do I perceive my value in helping potential clients, potential customers with the problems that they are facing? So that's the first. The second solution is value versus effort, is mapping out your value, looking at every single detail that goes into helping the client, and then mapping out every single outcome that ties into the help that you provide with that client, the service that you give to that client. Now that helps your mind to expand its scope of pricing, because as you start to see the picture, you realize that the value is a lot more than necessarily the effort that you put in, and most probably than the price that you have assigned to that value. And so as you build out and as you layer up the value you provide, then you start to increase your pricing, and you also become more confident in that pricing, because you can also see the value in how it translates for your client, and particularly in their outcomes. Then lastly, for the retention pricing trap, it's recognizing that the same way that you're investing in your knowledge, in new resources, in new tools to be able to ensure that your community members have a great experience, they are benefiting from being your community members, and by extension are improving and increasing their financial capacity and their resources and their ability to afford you breaking out of the retention pricing trap. So recognizing that the effort, time, value, resources you put into equipping yourself to give your community better value translates into actual better outcomes for them. And that hopefully starts to open your mind and challenge you into thinking about increasing your price, or at least the beginning of the conversation. So I have built something incredible for you, which is a pricing audit tool, and it's free to access. I'm going to link the description in this video so that you can be able to go just take the quick audit and see what archetype you are, and also potentially recognize where you may need to start improving on. So it's free to access. You get the results sent into your email. You'll not receive any spammy stuff from me. There's no fluffy information, simply a resource that helps you to begin your founder pricing audit, potentially the journey towards charging your worth. If this video, I believe, has been helpful to you, you know what to do. I will see you in the next one.